all very welcome here to my cooperage here in Middleton, Irish Distillers in Cork, Ireland. My name is Buckley. I'm the master cooper here in Middleton. My job would be looking after all the casks we get in. We have over 1.5 million barrels here now on 2 sites. So for their maintenance, for their quality control and stuff like that. So a lot of what I do dates back for over 4,500 years. The first evidence of coopering that we have dates back to Egyptian times. And the first thing they would have probably made was a tub very similar to this. And the idea would have been if they had a hollowed out log, that if they could make it out of individual pieces, they could make much more. So I still do the exact same thing that those guys did all those years ago. We still achieve the same thing. The only difference now from Egyptian times or Roman times even, is now we have metal hoops rather than timber hoops. Timber such as hazel, ash, flexible woods. That would have been used. So you would get a long string of branch, split it, put the flat side against the barrel, pin it, and that's your hoop. So casks of all different shapes and sizes were used for transporting everything. They were the main thing for thousands of years for transporting everything from wine to fish to apples to everything. And because they're so robust and so strong, they were ideal. The other thing that we are very unique for is the type of tools we use. We use very specific tools for coopering, which have been handed down in my family for generations, for 2 and 3 generations. The most basic tools I have would be a hammer and a driver. The hammer is quite heavy, so its weight does the work for me. If I had a very light hammer, I'd be pounding away all day, so it's quite heavy. And a driver that sits on the hoop that I push down, but you must hold it like that so you don't ruin your fingers. So the next tool I'm going to show you is Cooper's axe. Would have been a very common tool for centuries. It's only beveled on one side, so it's a carving axe. It's for carving the staves, the long vertical pieces. And I still teach this. I have a new apprentice who's here about a year now, Derek. So he's learning these skills as we go along. Another tool that would have been very useful for coopers and for other crafts would have been an adze that's used to pair the top of the barrel, maybe the side of the barrel. So again, kind of unique tools. And the last ones I kind of have here for you would be a compass, which timber compasses are kind of unique here to distillery in Middleton. They're used to get the circumference of the lid, or what we call the head. So if I was to go over to this cask, and I'll make a little mark, and I'll go around 6 times until my marks join up, and I can make it bigger or smaller, and that will give me my circumference, so I can go around the cask. This one belonged to my grandfather's brother, my great uncle, and he had it on board ship in the British Navy, and it's varnished compared to this one. So he had to present his tools on board ship, and they had to be in good condition. Even though this is over 100 years old, it still works absolutely perfect. It's what I would use to make that cask, a firkin cask. So that's kind of the heritage that we have here. And the last tool I'll show you is a cooper's crows, which is used to cut the groove at the top of the barrel. So if I step it into this long stave from a sherry cask, and it'll cut that groove. What's unique is my granddad, my dad, wore all one side down, and now I'm wearing the other side down. So it's taken us 3 generations with this tool to work through it. So very proud of that tool. So what I'm going to do now is just show you how we do a simple repair. We're going to remove a stave. So we have a stave here that's broken, so we're going to take that out. This type of cask is what we call a second fill barrel. So you can remove the hoops, using the top one, and we leave the top one on. Now we can take off the hoops. Take out a stave. And you can see how bad the crack is. So that would have to be replaced. So that's a weakness in the wood that eventually that causes the leak, and that's why we need coopers. So it's wood being wood, it can always fail. So the other thing to remember with all barrels that we use in the whiskey trade in Jameson and other brands is that we have air passing in and out through the wood all the time. We lose whiskey out through the wood, what we call the angel share. The other thing that's important is the charring. So you can see it quite plainly here, where we set fire to the inside of the barrel. And what we're doing by charring it is we're opening up the pores of the wood. We're caramelizing and crystallizing all the sugars, vanillas, caramels in the oak and releasing them back into the whiskey. The char also works in reducing some of the impurities that are in the distillate when it's first filled. So it's very important. It's different in the wine business. So in the wine business, we have what we call a light toasting. That's done when we come to bend the wood. We're still heating the wood. We're still lightly caramelizing, crystallizes all those vanillas and caramels, but we're not going as far as we are in American wood. So this is European and this is American, and there are two major differences as well in how they're prepared. So what I can do is then go away, look for a replacement at my stack of staves here, and then I can just throw it back in. So if I just throw this one back in again, put on my hoops and close the whole thing up. So the other thing I'm going to show you just before we leave is we have a selection of different casks here. This is a port cask, a port pipe. It's long, traditionally very long, because they wanted to use up as much space on the boats coming down the Douro River in Portugal. So by making it longer, it took up all that space. Whereas their neighbours in Spain had a sherry cask, sherry butt. So this one is 500 litres, the same as this, 500 litres. This is a Roman cask. They found these back in various parts of Europe that are exactly the same size, same condition, same capacity as this cask. The other cask I've here is an Irish oak hogshead. So it's from a wood in Kilkenny called Grince's Wood. This is one of the very first hogsheads we made out of Irish oak for over 150 years, because we'd lost a lot of our forests in Ireland through agriculture and so on. So it's it's the same species as the Spanish, Quercus roba, but it's a lot more like American in that it's very sweet. It's in a product called Dark Gaelic. The other cask here is a chestnut cask. So the nice thing about Ireland, when we make whiskey, it states in the law that we must mature our whiskey in wood. In Scotland, you must mature your whiskey in oak. So that allows us to use other types of wood, such as chestnut and cherry. Our latest release is a mulberry. So it gives us a whole new variety of woods to use and get different taste profiles, which is really exciting and exciting for everybody to try and see what new flavors we get. So before we go, I'm going to show you how a cask would be dismantled completely by taking off the last hoop and throwing it to the ground. So if you want to see me rebuild that cask, you're going to have to come here to Middleton and I'll show you how it's done. So before we go, we give a toast. May the roof above us never fall in, and we friends beneath never fall out. Sláinte. Hope to see you here in Middleton in my cooperage someday.